Hey friend, today's episode is all about stress, how you are looking after yourself as you are juggling parenthood and riding the hormone roller coaster that is perimenopause and menopause. But before we get started on today's episode, I really want to encourage you to get yourself signed up for my free Hormone Harmony workshop, which is running the 10th of August. The workshop is free. We're going to be digging into some really tactical things that you can do at home to support your hormones, which are ultimately going to help you lose weight if that is your goal, but they are just going to be things that help you to feel more energized. So the link to the workshop to join is in the show notes. And the other thing I want to shout out today is bear with me if the audio is not perfect, because I'm actually traveling. I'm staying with my parents right now and I have not got my microphone, so you might catch a little bit of background noise, but hey, life isn't always perfect, and that really is about what this episode is about today. So get your cup of tea, sit comfy, or pop those earbuds in and go for a walk, my friend, and let's dig in. Hey friend, welcome to Rest, Fuel, Move. I'm your host SJ. I'm an outspoken Christian women's health advocate, productivity guru, daughter of the king, and a 40-something mum to a sassy, independent daughter. I'm here to arm you with the knowledge you need to better understand your body and mind so that you can live a life free of diets, fitness fads, and comparison. If you are ready to finally lose weight sustainably, to learn how to consistently make the best choices for your health, follow a simple eating plan, and finally enjoy your exercise routine, all while keeping God at the centre of it all, then this is the podcast for you. Friend, grab your Bible, fill up your water bottle, and lace up those shoes. It's time to get fit. Okay, as I mentioned in the intro, today's episode is all about managing stress as a menopausal woman who has children, because it really is not only a challenge being a parent, but also as your hormones are fluctuating and you are riding the hormone roller coaster of perimenopause, it can be definitely twice as challenging. And I am saying this as somebody who has certainly got experience in this. And today was a prime example. So let me give you a little bit of backstory. I know that you love a story. So I'm staying with my parents at the moment here in the UK. It is full on kids out of school for 6 weeks, summer holidays. We are 2 weeks in. I'm staying with my parents so that they can help me with childcare, because I've also had to carry on doing my job at the same time. And we went for a really nice family day out to a castle. And it's one of those moments where you're really excited. It's a really gorgeous castle. It's really interesting from my perspective. Just think, for those of you that aren't in the UK, just think proper British history, old castle with a moat around, really excited about going. And it was one of those days where my daughter just did not want to cooperate. I've also got a 5-month-old puppy, and she was with us along for the ride, which probably in hindsight wasn't my best choice. But I was there with my mum and dad, and I thought, do you know what? Hey, I can manage all of this. And it turned out that my daughter didn't want to listen. She was super excited about the castle and totally forgot how to behave as a normal, rational human being. My puppy was going through the same emotions. And by the end of the day, I had just literally burst into tears because I was just so tired. I haven't really slept that well over the past week because I've been traveling in and out to London. I haven't probably looked after myself in the same way that I would normally do because I'm not at home in my usual routine. And it got me thinking about how difficult it can be, juggling children and also juggling the symptoms of perimenopause. And that's what this episode is about. It's about you navigating that stress as a menopausal woman with children, but also making sure that you're finding some kind of balance and looking after yourself. Because perimenopause and menopause is something that every woman is going to go through. And whether you are experiencing that right now, or whether that is something that you are aware of, but perhaps you're not experiencing the symptoms, it's a really good idea to have a heads up and be ready for what this roller coaster ride is going to throw at you. So there are a lot of positive changes, and I don't want to be all like doom and gloom about menopause and perimenopause, because that's not what I'm here for. But ultimately, it is challenging. Like, you as a mother are not only juggling the demands of being a parent, you're also having to navigate the hormonal fluctuations and the effects of menopause. And this can all lead, like it did for me today, to like a heightened level of stress. And today what I want to do is just talk about some really like effective strategies that you might want to use to help you manage stress during perimenopause, to help you feel a bit more empowered, like a little bit more in control, and able to find a bit of a better balance between navigating menopause and also navigating parenthood. And I'm not sitting at this perspective of, oh yeah, I have it all cracked, because today was a prime example of the fact that I don't have it all cracked. But life is real. This podcast is real. And I think when I sit and reflect after I burst into tears and cried on my mum's shoulder in public, that this is life. Like, we don't always get it perfect. And this stage in our life is really quite challenging. And we don't underestimate, what I mean is we underestimate the impact that this actually has on us as human beings all the time, that we are also trying to look after our children, the responsibilities that we have in the home, and probably you, like me, have a job at the same time as well. And all of that compiled together can just basically lead to you as a 42-year-old woman like me, standing in the grounds of a really beautiful historic castle, crying and giving my mum a hug because I've just totally lost my ish. So I just want you to know that you are not alone. And I'm going to share some strategies that I think that will be helpful to you, and things that I normally do on the day-to-day when I am in a normal routine that I probably haven't done over this past week, which has probably actually left me in a little bit worse of a hormonal state than I normally am. Okay, so number one, prioritizing self-care. Okay. You have got to, and I have not done this that well over the past week, you have got to look after yourself. And that means prioritizing your self-care by making time for the things that nourish your body and your mind. And you know what I'm going to talk about? These are the things that we talk about on this podcast. This is what the podcast is grounded in: rest, fuel, move. And I can honestly say that this week I haven't had as much sleep as I would normally get, because I've been staying up a bit later, like hanging out with my mum and dad, catching up with them. I probably haven't eaten in the same way that I would, because we've been out and about eating like ice creams and eating like burgers and things like that. So my food hasn't really been fueling my body in the same way that I would be normally. And I have, in terms of like movement, I've actually done a lot more steps than I normally would on a day-to-day basis at home. But I haven't been doing as many workouts as I would normally do, because I've been away and I've been on holiday. And it's really important to take stock of these, because I think those kind of three things together, out of your usual routine, really can have an impact on your stress levels. And this is why it's so important that we ground ourselves in this framework of resting, fueling our bodies and moving our bodies, because it's those things that we can do for ourselves that are part of this process of, number one, prioritizing your self-care. And under this heading as well, I also include engaging in hobbies and interests that bring you joy, and things that you can actually do on your own, even if it's just for half an hour, because you need that space. Okay, number two is build a support network. And that is what this podcast and my community here is all about, is giving you a place where you know that you are not the only person who is struggling, where you are probably scrolling through social media, seeing all these beautifully curated pictures of people's homes and days out and family trips and all the rest of it. And you're left feeling like you're not good enough, or you're the only one that seems to be struggling with the symptoms of menopause. And when I've posted a few reels on TikTok, for example, like so many people have said, yes, I get that. That's me. Yes, I do. So you're not alone. And having a support network really, really is important. And that support network can be family, friends, and also fellow menopausal mothers like the women listening to this podcast, which is why I'm going to encourage you again to join the workshop that I'm running this week. Because the women that are on that workshop are going to be in exactly the same boat as you. We are all going through this experience together. And ultimately, what I want us to do in that workshop is to talk quite openly about our experiences, the challenges, because that can be so therapeutic. Because as you discover that you're not alone on your journey, it makes you feel better. And it makes you feel like you're not the only crazy person in the room who is forgetting everything and having hot flushes all the time. And as an additional sort of part of this particular point is I would really encourage you to try and find support in groups that aren't just online but are actually in person, because there is so much value to be had, of course, from being part of an online community, but also actually being around people in person. And that might be like a walking group. It might be like we have here in the UK, like the WI, like Women's Institute, just being around people, going to a regular like Pilates class or something where you see the same people, or going to a nice coffee shop and going there at the same time every single week, so that you start to recognize the people that are in that place and you start to build friends in a network of people in person. Okay, number 3 is to communicate with your family, particularly your husband. Like, one of the really sad statistics around women in perimenopause and menopause is the high divorce rates. And so much of that, I believe, is down to the lack of communication and the lack of understanding that people have about how hormones impact women. And it's so important to have this open communication and dialogue. Now, whenever I've spoken about how I'm feeling with Tim, like, he's clueless. Like, he cares, but he's clueless. He doesn't know what it's like to be a girl. He doesn't know about periods. He doesn't know about menopause. So it's really important that you talk to the people around you. And if you have older children as well, talking to them about the physical and the emotional changes that you are experiencing, so that they can empathize with you and they can offer support to you. And also it educates them, because they might be working with people who are going through the same thing. Or, you know, if you have children, perhaps it's your daughter that's going to experience this one day. Or if your son, when he gets married, his wife is going to go through the same thing. So it's just about communicating. And also encouraging your children to express any feelings and concerns that they have. And I think it's so important to have this safe space and an open dialogue. And I'm going to be really honest with you today. Like, I really was struggling with Chloe, but I actually took her to one side and I said, look, I am really disappointed with the way that you have behaved today, but I haven't got it right and perfect today either. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling tired. Our puppy is challenging my patience. And I just kind of talked through how I was feeling as well. And I really hope that that has helped us to like foster a deeper bond together, so that we can minimize like any misunderstandings. And I really hope that this is something that continues as we grow and as she gets older. Okay, next up, I really want to talk about embracing healthy eating habits, because I have really not really done that this week. And it's so important, this second concept of fueling our bodies right and maintaining a balanced diet during perimenopause, menopause can make such a difference when it comes to managing your stress levels. And I really believe in, and I'm going to do a whole podcast about this actually for probably next week, where I want to really dig into this concept that I have of counting chemicals and not calories. Because I really believe that if you reduce like caffeine and alcohol and processed foods, they're all things that can exacerbate your mood swings and your stress. And I think it's really important to consider, like, if you are struggling with this, to speak to a qualified nutritionist or a healthcare provider. Maybe you want to talk to somebody in person, go and visit your GP, go and visit your doctor if you feel that you need some help with this. I can certainly help with healthy, balanced eating. I can help you and support you with your nutrition when it comes to weight loss. So if this is something that you feel you want some more information on, then please reach out to me and ask. Okay. Next up, I want to talk about the idea of like practicing, and I've called it mindfulness and meditation. But for me as a Christian, like mindfulness and meditation incorporates spending time with God and praying. And mindfulness and meditation can be things that you do to help you remain present in the moment and reduce anxiety. Now, for me as a Christian, like a way that I reduce my anxiety is actually to know that I'm not in charge of all of this and that God has it. It's not down to me to, see the bigger picture. He has my best interest at heart. And it's so nice to actually feel the weight of that on his shoulders and not mine. So it's really important to allocate time each day to maybe you pray, maybe you need some worship music, maybe to do some deep breathing, to do some stretching, whatever it is that works for you so that you can remain present and help to reduce anxieties. Okay, next up is to set realistic expectations. And I'm kind of saying this to myself off the back of the day out that we had today that really didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to be like this picture postcard day trip. And actually, I ended up in tears and everyone's a bit tired and a bit stressed. But set realistic expectations for yourself, because menopause and motherhood are demanding. They're both demanding in their own ways. So set realistic expectations for yourself and your family during this phase of your life, and understand that it's okay to ask for help and that perfection is not attainable. Focus on your day-to-day progress and your day-to-day efforts, rather than being like really, really critical of yourself. Like take one day at a time and think about, and I have actually just gone through this process with myself. Like today, I could really, really focus on all the negative things and all of the things that I feel like I've done that I have failed at. But actually, like celebrate the wins that you've had. Because do you know what? Like, although today I ended up in tears, actually the sun was shining, we did have a good time, Chloe had a new experience. I've got this gorgeous photo of her all dressed up in like a medieval queen's costume, and she loved that, and that was definitely a real highlight of the day. So it's important to focus on those things and not be critical of yourself. Now, my final point with all of this, because all of these things like resting, getting enough sleep, fueling your body right, getting movement, like all of those things can go such a long way to helping you feel better during this phase of your life. But if you are really struggling, you need to get professional help. If you find that stress becomes so overwhelming or it affects your daily functioning, please go and seek some professional help. Therapists, counselors, menopause specialists can really, really help and provide valuable support and coping strategies that are tailored towards your specific situation. Now, what I can offer you is help when it comes to your nutrition, your movement. I can help you with your organization, your day-to-day, like managing your time, planning, meal planning. I can help with a lot of those practical things. But if you really feel that you are struggling with depression and anxiety, I really encourage you to go and see a therapist or a counselor, because there is no better person to help you than somebody who really is professionally medically trained in this field, in the ability that they have the capacity to potentially prescribe you the right medication if that is needed, or to refer you to specialists if that is the case. So let's just kind of sum up and sort of come to sort of a conclusion when it comes to today's episode. I wanted to share my story of the castle with you, just to help you realize that I don't always get it perfect and we don't always get things right. And I did share a bit more detail about this over on Facebook as well. So you're so welcome to come and find me and be friends with me over on Facebook. I would love that. You know my name, it's in the podcast notes and the header of the podcast. So please come and say hi to me. Let's be friends on Facebook. Let's support each other. But really, my friend, remember, like, as a menopausal woman with children, like, managing stress really is crucial for your overall well-being and the happiness of your family. But it's also going to be the real factor that is the determining factor, when it comes to your success if you are on a weight loss journey. Because you can eat well, you can exercise, but if you are stressed out of your mind, your body is going to be releasing so much cortisol that your body is just going to want to be hanging on to those fat cells just in case the worst is going to happen. So really, my friend, embrace that self-care. Build yourself a support network. Come and join us in the workshop. Come and be friends with me on Facebook. Come and follow me over on Instagram. Reach out, say hi. I would love to get to know you. Communicate with your friends, your family. Talk about how you are feeling and how they are feeling. Make sure that you are maintaining a healthy lifestyle, eating well, looking after yourself, doing all of those things. Taking some time for some mindfulness activities, prayer, worship music, whatever it is for you. And set those realistic expectations. Like, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Be realistic on what you can and can't do on a day-to-day basis. And please, please, if you need professional help, go and get it. Because doing all of those things really are going to help you to have a less bumpy ride through this hormone roller coaster. And it's going to make you feel more fulfilled in your life as you travel through perimenopause, into menopause, and also in your motherhood. And remember, the most important thing is to be patient with yourself, to celebrate the strengths and resilience that come through this transformative phase of your life and as your experiences as a parent. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please share it with a friend who maybe needs to hear this. Leave a 5-star written review on iTunes if you haven't already. And I just want to know that I am thinking of you. I am praying for you. I love you. And I know that you are doing an amazing job. So remember to look after yourself. I look forward to connecting with you in the next episode. Come and join the workshop. Please come and get to know us. Come and join the workshop. Get yourself registered for the workshop. Come and find me over on Facebook, over on social media. All of the information is linked in the show notes. And I look forward to connecting with you in the next episode.